Hi, everybody. Welcome. Nice to see you again on a Saturday night. Every time I listen to that intro, I absolutely love that song, that track. And it's one of the reasons why I managed to get permission from Dave to use it. Anyway, 12 people watching already. That's cool. A bunch of comments already out here in the chat. So I'll say hi to everybody. Glad you could all make it on a Saturday night. And if you're looking at the replay, thanks for coming by. First up, Aaron, True Skills 710. I need glasses. Glad you could come by, Aaron. And Sean Clark. Hello, Sean. Carlos 23. Hello, my favorite reef girl. Hey, my favorite Carlos. Nice to see you. Detroit Hammers here. Hello. And there's Lynn Reef Nerd. Hey, Lynn. Tar Heel Reefer. It's going to be a good night. Yeah, I hope so. Be nice if we could get some people to drop by and show us their tanks. Oh yeah, and I just realized I should mention, no matter what I did with this filter tonight, I couldn't get the tank to look right and show the colors, so I just left it off. And I think it's because I've been moving things around in the 150-gallon section of the sump, and I kicked up a bit of a cloud, and I think that cloud is in this tank now. I can see it. I think you can see the bit of a haze on the water. And when I put that filter on, for whatever reason, the colors don't look much different than what you see right there. So anyway, no sense having both the tank look bad and me look orange. So I didn't put it on tonight. Maybe later I'll kind of keep an eye on it. And if it changes, I'll put the filter on so you get a better view of the tank. Okay, Lynn. B-Speak. Hey, B-Speak. Solvsborg. Hi. Okay. That's everybody said hi to them. So what happened this week? Well, I mentioned I've been working down in the 150-gallon section of the sump, and it's in preparation to get that section empty because that's where we're running the UV sterilizer. We're going to use a Jabo DCS 7000 pump to feed the UV, and the output from the UV is also going to go into the same vat. So we want it to be empty. And the stuff that's in there right now is stuff I'm keeping alive, corals and stuff and fish. And we're going to be removing the Kessel's AP700 that I have over that. And so everything's going to get cleaned up and UV go in. So I started that process by moving a whole bunch of media bags from the back of that tank. They're back there in the dark, and a couple of large pieces of branch rock that I wasn't able to use in my aquascape that I had planned to use, and move them over to the 100, which is where the skimmer is. And in the process, I rinsed them all. I was pretty careful where if I saw I was kicking up a cloud, I quickly got a container and put it underneath the bag I was lifting, because they're like media bags, they're this big, and lifted it carefully out of the water. So while I was doing it, it was minimal disturbance. And some of those bags I rinsed 3 or 4 times in new salt water to get the crud out of them. And then I moved them over to the 100, and they're in the dark there because there's a lid. So that process got started. So now the whole back half is empty, and all there is on the bottom is a layer of just whatever that gunk is that builds up usually in our sump. It's not deep, and it's relatively sparse. I think a lot of it was in those media bags. So I put a power head on it to keep it stirred up. And quite honestly, some of these corals up here are looking pretty fluffy. The acans at the back, like I'm starting to see tentacles come out. So I think there's something in that substrate that's kind of similar to when you fluff up your sand. May as well release the nutrients into the water, and whoever wants them can have them. And overnight, that'll all clear out. It'll get filtered, and by morning, it'll all be clear again. But anyway, so long story short, filter's not working because the water's hazy. William Peace Jr., hello. Carlos, tank is looking sweet. Oh, thanks, Carlos. It's getting there, but as I said, there's still a few more things to do. I have 3 more fish to add from downstairs, and I'll be really glad to get them in here. Reef practitioners, hey, how are you? Cool. What else did I do this week? Oh, yeah. I don't know if you guys have noticed the ridiculous price of cyanoacrylate glue, but I sure have. I bought a bulk pack of 12 little teensy Crazy Glue. It was the original brand, gel, back around, it was over a year ago, and it was like $21, which I thought was expensive. But now it's, believe it or not, $70 from the same seller, $72 for that 12 pack. Not going to happen. Never going to pay that. So I went on a little quest looking for cyanoacrylate that wasn't stupid expensive, and I came across this stuff. And this is called Uhu Extra. It's the gel formula. I went onto the Uhu website in Germany, and I got the technical data, and it is cyanoacrylate, and it's a gel formula. I couldn't find any information about any additional ingredients in here. And as it happens, all you Canadians, and even Americans, I guess, or anywhere, there's a hobby place in Canada here in Toronto called Sunward. And they have these little tubes, and they're like probably 3 times the volume of the ones you get at the dollar store, 79 cents Canadian each. Score. So I bought enough to get free shipping, which is 2 of these bags. It's 80 of them. And so now, even if I only use half the tube before it glues itself shut, because that's what always happens. Although if you dip it in water, if you dip the tip in the salt water and then quickly put the lid on, that sometimes prevents that from happening. And you can use a really, really pointy scalpel. And generally what I'll do is force the glue up to the top, put the point of a scalpel in and try to kind of use that to get the last of the glue out. But honestly, that's when I get the most glue on my hands because it's really awkward and you can't really aim it. You just, if you've got a large area, it's fine. You just drip it out. But anyway, so there's that. There's the tip of the week. Score of the week, 79 cents for, I think it's 7 mils. Yep, 7 mils, 0.24 fluid ounces. So look for the extra gel formula. What I'm doing is I'm going to be doing a bunch of fragging as I get the last of the corals out of that 150 section of the sump. And the frags are going in the observation tank that used to be Mollywood. I'm going to use this glue for that. And I'm going to watch for any adverse effects, just in case there is an ingredient in here that's not listed, or for some reason, whatever type of cyanoacrylate they use is not compatible with reef life. And the frags will be in there probably for well over a month while they heal and grow out a little bit before I move them on. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Who else just dropped by? Born to be a shooter, Josh. Howdy, everyone. Just finishing up some tank maintenance and feeding the fish and corals. Now I just need to sit back and listen and stare at my tank and check everything over so I know everything's happy. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I watched a video from Amro, the BioReef, today. And he, I don't know if anyone was on the stream or paying or watching it when he was talking about going to Hawaii, having an opportunity to go to Hawaii for a few months. And he also did a video on his own YouTube channel, the BioReef. So anyway, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, he was at the Waikiki Aquarium, and that's what the video was about that I watched today. And one of his comments was how long he could spend just standing there looking at all of these display tanks. And can I ever relate to that? I mean, when my husband used to go to the Bass Pro Shop, they always have a giant freshwater Great Lakes species aquarium. And I would just park myself there and just stand there and watch the fish. And an hour later, I'd still be there, not the least bit impatient. I was just really enjoying watching the fish. So it's good video. He mentions 2 of the fish that I want for my stock list, gold flake angels and pinktail trigger. And there's good footage of those in his video. So check it out if you get a chance. It's worth the watch. The dollar store here has the 3-pack for $1, Reef Practitioners. Yes, I got a whole bunch of them back when we could still cross the border to pick up mail without huge hassles before the pandemic. And there was a Dollar Tree on our route to the mail pickup place. So I stopped there once and I think I got 18 3-packs. And that lasted for quite a while. That was back in probably 2018, 3-4 years ago. So yeah, but in Canada here, we never get the 3-packs, and hardly any dollar store has the gel. You can buy the gel by the case from the dollar store head office. It's 45 Canadian dollars, which is $1.25 each for 36 in a case. In fact, that's what I have. I got a box right here, and the tubes look like this. And each one is packaged in a plastic tube with a childproof lid. Super, super wasteful packaging. And when you actually use the tube, there's no glue in the middle. There's a void. There's glue at the bottom, there's glue at the top, but there's like a void in the middle. So the problem with that is if you don't squeeze all the glue from the bottom of the tube all the way up, you end up with a bubble when you're putting the glue on whatever you're doing. All of a sudden it like burps. So yeah, so I decided I wasn't buying that anymore, and so I found this Uhu stuff. Oh, Alex just popped in. Hyder Ali Khan. Hey Hyder, hope you're doing well. What's the minimum and maximum salinity for corals, and what is it for the anemones? I don't know that off the top of my head. Maybe somebody in the chat might be able to answer. You could probably look that up on Google. T Reefer, hey T, glad to see you. Hello everybody. May God bless you all. You too, T. Hey Reefers, Algae Warriors here, just listening while unpacking. Nice. All right, I'm gonna bring Alex in, because after I talk about the glue, I really got nothing else to talk about. There's Alex.
Hey.
Look at you in your hazmat whites.
Well, sorry to tell you I won't be talking a whole lot, but at least right away I was going to do some work, and I figured I'd let everybody see how much fun I'm having with all this fiberglass.
If no one's following you on Instagram, they should. I'm sure you do have a lot of the viewers following you there, but if you don't, you should follow Alex on Instagram. Can't talk. Because it's some of... I don't know. It blows my mind. Okay, I'm going to put you up full screen and you can show us.
All right. Yeah, I was going to say I'll talk a little bit before I get going here. So don't mind the 2x6. It was a cutting template earlier, but the first layer of fiberglass is down on the bottom. So unfortunately, I don't have enough resin to do the second layer, and I'm waiting for another shipment.
Oh, crap.
So I hopefully should get that, but in the meantime, I got plenty of work to do. I gotta go through the bottom, and I'm just looking for. I mean, you can see some light spots here and there where I had some high spots or things where the fiberglass had a imperfection I ground out, which I'm gonna go through and do the rest of that tonight.
Yeah. How do you find those? Like, do you use a laser or anything?
Or just feel with my hands, or some of them are pretty obvious. Let me see if there's any. Some of them aren't as big of a deal as others. Like these were bubbles here, so I ground down those. But
right.
Like little bumps and stuff like this, not a big deal because it's on the bottom. If you got a bump, it's not a big deal. But let's see. All right, here's a perfect. I don't know how well you can see it. So right here, there's a big air bubble there.
Oh, yep.
So that has to be ground out, and this is usually where I get a bunch of them is on the edge here, and I can actually hear it when I push. So those I'll grind out tonight so that I could refill it or just have it go through with the next layer. Like right here, there's a little bit of bare wood where I ground a couple bubbles out, which isn't so, it happens.
Yeah. And Alex, is that like a it's got to be perfect thing, or does that kind of thing actually pose a structural issue?
A big bubble like that is more worrisome because of the water pressure.
Oh, right.
There's going to still be another layer of fiberglass and epoxy over the top, but big bubbles like that are a worry. Let me see if I could find something that's less worrisome. Most of it's pretty tiny stuff. All right, here's some of this has got to get a little touch up, but you know, you can see there's some fine bubbles. So like right here's a good example. I got to grind. There's a little bit of fiberglass sticking out of here.
Right.
And when I do the next layer, it's going to bubble there. So that needs to get ground out. I'll probably do some light grinding on some of these edges.
Right.
So it's just you know, but most of it's good. But there'll be a few touch-up spots there where I got to grind out bubbles and patch them.
Yep.
And then yesterday I cut all 84 feet of the perimeter.
Oh my God. And that's out of the cloth?
The cloth and the chop strand. So basically what you get is an edge like this.
Oh.
So there's like 84 feet of that in this bag.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, it's a fun time.
Oh, I bet. So this layer that you're working on, like this serves as waterproofing, and you still have other layers to go over this? Like, are you putting you're putting pond armor as the final layer that's going to be what touches the water, right?
Yep. So the fiberglass it provides some waterproofing, but it's a lot more about strength and rigidity to the structure.
Right.
It does provide some waterproofing, but even fiberglass generally will get a gel coat or another coating over the top. So,
right.
So yeah, I'm gonna get in here and get my vacuum going and my grinder, and so
get working away.
I figured it'd be fun to let you guys see all the fun and joy of this project. This is probably one of the worst jobs I've had to do with it. So.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, Ninja Corey. Hey, Ninja Corey, just got here. What are we looking at? LOL. Casey Wagner, inside of a tank. Hey, Casey. Yeah, this is Ninja Corey. This is Alex G's Aquariums, and he is building the display section of his gigantic aquarium system that's in the basement of his house. The other half of it that's already running, well, I guess it's more than half. It's probably a third. Wait, more, less? Yeah,
it's about a third.
My brain's not working tonight. So you got 2,600 gallons already running in your fish room.
2,100.
2,100. Okay.
Here, I'll just walk away for a second.
Okay. Yes. And what we're looking at now is the build of the display tank. Oh my God. That's like 24 feet away, 32 feet away?
30 feet.
30 feet away. So, Ninja Corey, you must follow Alex because, yeah, he's on Instagram with updates, with regular updates.
Yeah, the least fun part of this job, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, but hey, if I get my resin this week, I should be able to finish all the fiberglass on the bottom, get it all ground out, patched out, and then I've already got most of my pond armor.
Yep.
And I'll see how the grinding goes tonight. I'm gonna do grind out, vacuum out, and then I'm thinking I've got some old pond armor that I can't use inside the tank because it's expired.
Right.
But I can use it on the exterior surfaces that just need to be kind of splash spill proof. So I'm thinking tonight I might wipe down the area that's behind the that's going to be up against the wall. I had already poured a little bit of pond armor, but I think I might crack open some of those tonight and start that. And then there's a chance I might start the canopy tonight, although I don't think I'm going to quite get that far tonight.
I'm tired just listening to you. Oh my God.
I was about 2 hours in this suit yesterday. So and just fair warning, when I do get done with this, I'm going to have to leave because I got to take a shower.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you're keeping track of your weight loss in this journey.
No, Trust me, I am eating and drinking plenty to keep up with that.
I was
So
just thinking of dehydration and water.
you,
Man,
you
oh
do
man.
need to, I already have a big giant glass of ice water, and I've already drank a whole bunch before this because this is a sweat box in this suit.
I bet.
So
Good.
uh,
So Casey Wagner says just before you go, if it turns out as planned, it will be gorgeous. If it fails, it'll be exciting.
all I could say is if it fails, I hope that it's on camera so that I can reap the rewards of that online.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, exactly.
that,
And
that
Alex,
might pay to replace all the damage in the basement.
hey, cautionary tale or a huge exciting stuff.
It's a risk that you take with this type of stuff. Unfortunately,
And I think we all take that risk, whether we realize it or not, to varying degrees. So Alex, do you have videos about this build on YouTube, or have you done a build thread on Reef to Reef or anywhere like that?
Reef to Reef has a very active thread. I'm very active on Instagram, and then
Yeah.
as far as YouTube videos go, I've been posting them as I complete each major section. So
Mhm.
when waterproofing is 100% done, I'm gonna make a video on that.
Right.
So it's a slow process, unfortunately. So I don't have the time to make videos more often. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be a long one on this. I could guarantee that.
That's right. But it's not going to be a how-to.
It'd be a little bit of that. It's gonna probably be more about math. I'm gonna talk about what I did, the prep work, the testing work, and
Yeah.
then I'm gonna dive into the details of it. And then there's enough people asking, I might do something more with talking through the fiberglassing process if I got some scrap fiberglass afterwards.
Right. Right. Okay.
So,
Cool.
but it's gonna be a fun evening. I'm hoping I can get through this pretty quick, and then I could do a little bit of cleaning, and then I could apply some pond armor on that backside, and then we'll see. I don't know if we'll get to. I don't know if we'll get to any pond armor on here tonight, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I think what I'll do is I will leave you full screen and I'll just chat with the people in the chat.
All right,
Uh,
I won't be able to hear anything, so
yep.
mute
No,
myself because
that's fine.
you're not gonna want to hear the fun sound of the vacuum and the saw
No.
and me squishing around in the suit here.
All right.
So,
Thanks, Alex.
all right, I'll check in periodically when I gotta take a breath between
Okay.
batteries and stuff, and then we'll see how far I get tonight.
All right. Cool. Very cool. Lynn Reef Nerd. I've seen bigger. Yep. Oh, hey, Robert Ward. Good evening from Scotland again. I'm currently fed up with cyanobacteria and have gave in and I'm hitting it with ChemiClean. Think that worked for you in the past? Yes, and I would not hesitate to use it again. The only thing I'll say is that when I did it, I only dosed enough for 3/4 of my water volume. I did 450 gallons worth because I was reluctant to go full dose in case something bad happened. And I should have done the full dose for 600 gallons because it did come back. And I do have a little bit along the very back wall of the tank where I just regularly fluff it up and just try and keep the flow going because I can't really shoot a power head across there without disturbing the sand and piling it up and getting it all off the glass. Like all the glass will get bare on the bottom, and yeah. So that's what I would say. I would not hesitate next time to go the full 600 for dose. It is a bit of a pain in the neck for you have to adjust your skimmer because it does. Mine did go a little crazy. Well, more than a little crazy, but I wanted to keep skimming because of the aeration value of it. So I adjusted it to skim really, really, really dry. And that's kind of how I got around it. Although it did overflow for 2 days, then after that, I had to make the adjustment and then keep an eye on it. Oh, Ninja Corey, just sub on YouTube. Looking forward to watching the vids from the beginning. Yeah, it's interesting. And Ninja Corey, Alex had a previous system in his previous house that was 1,700 gallons, I believe, with a 480-gallon Reef tank and a 480-gallon fish only and a 720-gallon Reef. I might have those reversed. I think I do. Anyway, 2 big tanks. He built his own skimmer. It's really fascinating. Okay. Stay hydrated. If fails, I guess the whole basement becomes a tank at this point. Yeah, we've talked about that. Looked on Reef to Reef, found user, followed as well. Oh, cool. Yeah, Alex will appreciate that. Hey, NSB Reefs, welcome. Robert Ward, I'm hitting with just over the recommended dose. Yeah. From all the reading I did about the ChemiClean, it works and it's safe. So, I didn't notice any issues with it as far as my corals and everything. I just had to watch the skimmer. Casey Wagner pulled the Eheim 250 off the freshwater tank yesterday. Cleaned it, filled it with polyfill, and put it on the marine tank. Water is crystal clear now. Wish I had low/no iron glass. I had the low iron glass on my Red Sea tank, and I decided against it for the current tank because when it's filled with water, you don't really notice a difference. And I found the low iron glass scratched a lot easier. I had scratches on the Red Sea tank. Mollywood, or the observation tank, is an innovative marine Nouveau 40, and it's the low iron glass, and it has some pretty major scratches in it. And the other thing is that when I was dosing calc in the Red Sea tank, I dripped it in right by the return nozzles, and the return nozzles pushed the water to the front glass. And all along the water line on the front glass, I had a haze. It was probably, I want to say, 1 inch wide, right in the area where the water flow hit from those return nozzles. You can buff that out with, I can't remember the name of the powder. It's like a jewelry powder and a lot of elbow grease. It can be removed, but nothing I did would get that haze out of there. And of course, I couldn't use the powder while there was water in it. So the tank got sold that way. So I don't know whether the buyer ever buffed that out or not. But I just put that, I did some reading, and sometimes the tin side of the low iron glass, it's supposed to face out of the tank, and sometimes it faces in. And there's a theory that that's part of it, part of why you get chemical reaction hazes and things like that. Robert Ward, my skimmer is going nuts, LOL. Keeping it low in the skim tank well aerated. Might even make it a bi-monthly treatment. I've read about people who do that. Oh, hey, ATF in the house. How you doing, Alan? Red slime remover, air stone, repeat in 48 hours. Yeah. Yes, that's the other thing, Robert. I did drop air stones in every section of the tank. And I ran the bubbles that I have attached to the return nozzles in the display for the full, like the 48 hours that they recommend before you do the water change. Ninja Corey, kind of been window shopping for way in the future dream build. Been looking at Cade tanks. Lately seeing things about water box. What's your take on them? The only thing, I don't know a lot about water box. I think they're available in Canada. I've not researched that to any great degree, but I know 1 or 2 people who have them. And I know there's a guy on YouTube, JD Reef, and he's in Scotland. And he bought one of the water box tanks and had a lot of issues with it. I don't specifically remember the details. What I remember from watching all his videos, this is from it's quite a while ago, year maybe, was that he wasn't happy with the customer service. when it came to the issues that he had. So that could be a local thing, a regional thing, who knows? But as for the quality of the tanks and everything, I've heard a lot of good things. But I really can't offer an opinion because I don't, I've never actually looked into them for myself. Yeah. So what else happened while we watch Alex crawl around on here? Got more corals put in the tank. I have 7 SPS corals remaining on a frag rack that have to go in, and then I'll be done with that. I'm not planning on buying any more coral for a while until I see how all of these work out, because I put quite a few in the last month or so. And well, basically since the end of June. And I don't want to have problems with parameters by throwing too much at it too quickly. Cade tanks are crazy priced, lovely, but way overpriced, I think. Yeah, JD Reef had a bad time with them, with Waterbox. Yeah. I remember how excited he was to get that tank. And then it was just like a little incremental disappointment after disappointment. And there's a couple design issues that he found once he had it up and running. So I guess the thing is to watch, like to look for videos for people who have had them. And my husband and I, when we're researching things, we always read reviews. But the thing is, you soon learn that some of the things people complain about aren't things you're really worried about. They're not things that matter to you, or they're things like the courier company dropped the box, which really isn't the manufacturer's fault. So it's one of those things where you look at as many reviews as you can possibly find, and then decide what things are applicable to what your experience is going to be, or what your requirements are, or any of that. Time to take a break. Okay. Yeah. Just checking my tank to see how the haze is looking on camera. I wish you guys could see what I see. Let me try this filter again. If I can find it. What did I do with it? Don't mind me while I rattle around on my desk. Yeah. So let's see, what else can I tell you? Haven't had any disasters this week. It's always a good week when you don't have anything terrible go wrong, especially in this hobby. Oh, there it is. But if you didn't see right at the beginning about my score on Crazy Glue, well, it isn't Crazy Glue. It's Oohoo cyanoacrylate. Oh, that's better. Yeah, that's looking better than it was before. You can at least see some colors. So this stuff Alex is doing right now, it really shows how tedious this whole thing is. And this is something I would never, ever, ever even think of attempting, because although I'm a patient person and I'm quite picky, after a while it would just be too overwhelming. I don't think I could do it. Carlos 23, any tank without a Euro brace I stay away from. That's why I went custom. Yes, Carlos, that's Alex G. He's working on the finish of the fiberglass that he applied to grind down uneven spots, and then he's got a vacuum and he's picking up the bits, the dust and all that kind of thing. And yes, he's wearing a respirator and the hazmat suit. I can't even imagine how hot and uncomfortable he is. Yeah, my tank was custom and I had a lot of problems with it. And that I'm working on that video, kind of the summary video about what the process was, all the things that went wrong, how they got fixed or not fixed, as the case might be. And it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be video Very little of the video that's going to be in it is stuff that I've already shared in other videos because I was saving it for kind of a wrap up. There could be some bad language. Yeah. No, there will be some bad language, but I'll probably bleep it out. Definitely agree. Custom is best. Glass quality on Red Sea easily scratches. For the price, I'd hope for better quality glass on these high ticket tanks. Yeah, I think it's the low iron glass. And when I first started seeing this haze on the Red Sea tank, I looked into it, and that's when I learned about the way the glass is made. It's floated on molten tin. And the side that's in contact with the tin, like I said, is supposed to face out. But if it faces in, because I don't know how they tell, if it faces in, the glass is a little bit soft. Also, low iron is a tiny bit softer than regular glass, and it just lends itself to scratches. I couldn't believe the scratches I had on the Red Sea tank. There was only one that you could actually feel if if you run your fingernail over it. I did find a cleaning pad that would take algae out of that scratch, and it was on the front. It was about 6 inches long and it was curved. So I'm sure it was some sort of sand or a tiny chip of something that was caught under an algae scraper. That's how that happened, because it was inside the tank. Yeah. Alex looking to be an extra in ET. Yeah, I don't know. Well, and if you haven't seen what Alex is working on here, this thing is tented. So it's and all of the seams are taped, and he's got a negative airflow going. So he's got an exhaust fan that pulls the air from inside this thing out, and it goes out a window that's just beyond the end of the tank, and it draws in the air from the other end so that there's constant airflow through here, because he was working with fiberglass resin, and now of course he's grinding and sanding the hardened resin, and that's why he's got the respirator and everything on, because it's particulates, and he sure doesn't want to breathe all of that in. Hey, Taryn, how are you doing? Taryn, you should come in and show us your babies. Taryn has been breeding clownfish. It's so exciting, and doing really well with it too. And my spot breast angels have been displaying spawning behavior. And I know what that looks like from the other pair that I had in the Red Sea tank. And one night I was up to my armpits in salt water, of course, trying to plant some corals. And as soon as they started doing this, I had to stop, get out of there, and grab the phone, the camera, so that I could try and get some of it on video. And so that planting session ended early, but I got some cool video, which is going to be in a coming update that I'm working on right now, of especially the male fish, and what he does during spawning behavior. I haven't actually seen any eggs released. The female's looking a little fat, but I don't know whether that's just because she's a good eater or because she's carrying eggs. I don't know. I haven't done any research into it. These Genicanthus species angels are known to do this, but I have no intention of doing anything to try to snag the eggs or anything like that. It's beyond what I'm prepared to get into. So if they do release eggs and they're fertilized, they're unfortunately going to go down the overflow. Yeah, got to be super careful. Baby clown, super cute. Oh, hey, Kathy B. Nice to see you. Yeah. So yeah, spawning behavior, and I got my husband to help me plant another gorgonian in here. It's orange. It's photosynthetic. It's on the left-hand side near the back. Right now, it's a single branch about 4 inches long with a couple of little tiny spikes coming out the side. And when I put it in there, within 5 minutes of cleaning up and then coming back to check, the sailfin tang was backing up to it and trying to swat it with his tail. And then he turned around and he bit the tip of it off. So he swam over and I saw him spit it out. So I don't know what that was about, but yeah. Hey, the humble reefer. Hello from Tennessee, late as usual. That's okay. Better late than never. We're looking at Alex inside his display. This is the bottom that he has just applied fiberglass to. And he had to coat the fiberglass with resin. And he's grinding down uneven places right now and air bubbles. So this is just one of a couple of coats of different things that are going to go on here. I think he has to do another coat of resin, but he ran out. So he's waiting for more. And then once he does the second coat of resin and does the grinding and leveling out, I think then he can put the pond armor on, if I've got it right. Yeah. Oh yeah, these guys are talking about ChemiClean. Yes, because Robert had said should I hit it again just to be safe? Yes, because there'll be some you can't see. This is cyanobacteria. I do about a 20% water change in total, 10% just before the repeat dose, and 10% 48-72 hours after the second dose, if running carbon or other. Yeah. Ooh, Casey got my birthday curls last week. Posted some pics on Insta. Casey, what's your username on Insta? Is it Casey Wagner? I've got to look for some of you guys. The humble reefer. I was wondering what he was doing. Thanks for clarification. Yeah, it's not fun. I'm sure you can imagine. He's got the hazmat suit on. He's got a respirator. And I don't know if you heard where I was talking about the exhaust fans he has in there to create negative pressure to pull out fumes and things like that. So yeah, it's but you know, the progress is unbelievable in a very short period of time. Oh, I see. Or carbon or other media like Purigen, etc. Poly pads, remove those. Like red slime remover, better than ChemiClean. Corals don't mind it as much. Okay, interesting. Oh, that's good to know. What else did I do? I got some Aquaforest Life Source to try. And the reason I did that was Ryan at BRS did, I don't know if you're familiar with the series that they did on biome cycling of 12 different tanks. And I started following that. This was like late last year, was it? It was quite a few months ago. And they set up 12 tanks and cycled each one a different way. And so the talk that he gave at MACNA, and I think it was Garrett, Algae Warrior, who recommended that. And so I listened to it. It was really good. I think in total, Garrett, I listened to it 3 times. And I got something different out of it every time. And it wasn't because I fell asleep the first time. But anyway, so talking about, one of the things he talked about was people who have started using like mud, different muds. And I don't know all the brands of mud, but I have Miracle Mud. I used it in the Red Sea tank. I think it made a difference to my polyp extension on SPS. Just overall, everything looked happier. And so I do still have some. I am going to put it into this system. This is another thing that's going in the 150-gallon section of the sump once it's empty, so that it can be in a relatively low flow area that's still exposed to the water, but isn't going to be disturbed by it too much, so that it can just leach. Anyway, so I decided to try some Aquaforest Life Source because the people I've seen that have used it have amazing tanks. I know Unorthodox Reef a while back found metal filings in the stuff just by stirring it up and dragging a magnet up on the outside. He was able to extract metal. And I did some more research into it, and it doesn't worry me because where I put it in the tank is really far away from my return pumps. And those are the ones I'm worried about the most. So anyway, I put some in, and the stuff is black. I wasn't expecting that. It's black. And my calculation for how much I should use, I have 600 gallons of water, but I only put a half dose in because it's 10 milliliters per 26 gallons. It's a European product, so it would be 10 milliliters per 100 liters of water. 100 liters of water is roughly 26 US gallons. So I have 600 gallons, give or take 10 or 20. And so I only dose enough for half because I don't like to start out full bore. I like to just see what happens. So I figured half was close enough. 260 gallons was close enough. It was easy math. So I put 100 milliliters of the stuff. I got it in a cup. It's goopy. It's gross. It's black when it comes out of the bag. It's sticky. It's like ugly to deal with. I put it in a plastic beaker, and then I filled the rest of the 250 milliliters beaker up with water, tank water. And I mixed it, and I mixed it, and I mixed it, and I mixed it, and I mixed it. Then I rinsed the spoon off in the tank, and it turned into a big white cloud, and then I mixed it some more. And I poured it into the tank over the course of 2 days because, let me tell you, I put it right into the display, which is what they say to do in a high flow area. So I did that. When you pour it out of the container, it's this dark brown cloud that really, really quickly dissipates. The whole tank looked like milk. You couldn't see from the front. Well, I could barely see the middle rocks of my tank. Was not expecting that. I expected it to be cloudy. Didn't expect it to go completely white. So it scared me. So I stopped at about half. And this was around 5 o'clock in the afternoon when I did it. And by lights out, which is around 10:30, 11 o'clock, it was still really, really hazy. So I waited until just before I went to bed, and I poured half of what remained. So at this point, I had put in about 3/4 of what I prepared. And I topped up the beaker of water before I put in the second half of what remains. So the proportions probably aren't right, the amount I'm thinking. But anyway, I had a little bit left, probably 200 milliliters in the container after the second batch I put in. I didn't add more mud. It's still the original 100 milliliters that I figured for half of the volume of this. And I added that the next night. Like I waited another 24 hours. So everything cleared up really nicely. And I'm going to do it once a week, just like they say. And we'll see what happens. I don't think I'm going to put in 100 this time. I think I'm only going to put in 50 because I really didn't like how white the water got. It concerned me. I ran the bubbles because I was worried about oxygenation. You know, I don't know. I don't know if it would be a problem. No idea. But enough people have used it and had good results. I haven't read anything bad other than the metal filings, and that's apparently to be expected because the stuff is a natural product that comes out of the ocean. And so we'll see what happens with it. I'll keep you posted. Next time I put it in, I'm going to get video of the process so I can show people what it actually looks like when it goes in your tank because it's not what I expected. Okay. Let's just see. Let's read some comments now. Robert and Alan are talking about cyano. I'm going to read this later so I can learn something. Carlos, Miracle Mud is good stuff. I used it for a long time. We'll be implementing it in my new build. Yeah, Carlos, it's the thing is the amount that I would need if I dosed to the recommended amounts would cost me about $500. And I don't want to spend that kind of money. I mean, if I had extra money laying around, that'd be great. But I'm still, like most people, I'm working on a budget. And because the bigger system requires bigger basic things that you can't not use, like salt and our RODI, resin and things like that, like the ongoing expenses, dosing. I use the Chem Fusion 1 and 2, and that's probably one of the cheaper ones available. So those things are staples that you have to pay for. So when it comes to the additives like Miracle Mud, for example, or any of these others, I love the Hydrospace products, but I can't afford to dose them more than maybe every couple months because it's $40 a bottle. That's Canadian. And it's just beyond what I can spend for something like that isn't a staple. But yeah, Miracle Mud. I did buy it on sale back when I had the Red Sea tank. I have, I think, 2 or 3 5-pound jars of it. So I think it's enough to do a pretty decent job for the recommended amounts for this 600 gallons. Kathy says, I've used Life Source. I also did a half dose. Yeah. Did it concern you? Like I honestly, I was really worried, and that I went back and did a whole bunch more reading, and I didn't see anybody mention a problem with the tank going white and not recovering. The fish didn't like it. The fish freaked out and they all hid because it was like 5 p.m. when I put it in there. But I didn't see any of them breathing heavy or going to the surface or anything like that. So I don't think it bothered them. It's just they couldn't see where the heck they were going. Conchs eat cyano. Yep, I've seen that. Oh, geez. Still no idea. What's killing stuff in my tank? Something ate the face off my new lettuce sea slug, tore the arms off micro brittle stars. Only pests that I've seen are bristleworms and spaghetti worms. Oh, you're kidding. You still got that thing with the micros. Oh, that's too bad. Robert, I never knew that. LOL, I'll have to have a look and see him go hiking. Quality. Yeah. When you first add it, it really freaks you out, but we'll be adding another round of it soon. Yeah, I also dosed it at lights out, so by the morning it was cleared up. That's the Aquaphora stuff. All right, my fishy friends, I'm off to bed. It's at 2 a.m. Nighty-night. Thanks, Robert, for coming by. It was nice to see you. Okay, Carlos talking about the Miracle Mud. I usually buy in bulk on Black Friday. I have like a 2-year supply. Yeah, I used to do that when I could get stuff from the States. And Taryn is here. Let's bring Taryn in because she has cuteness to show us. Taryn.
Hi.
Oh my goodness.
You probably can't see them that closely, but they're so cute.
Oh my God. That's a heater that you got there. Look how small they are.
Yeah, these guys, actually, these are two clutches together. I'm going to feed them right now. They're pretty small, but they're pretty big. I have another smaller pair. So these guys, one clutch of them was born on July 1st. So I guess they're, I don't know, like 40 days old. And the other one was born 10 days later. So they're like 30 days old. So I combined them together. Like once they go through metamorphosis, you can combine them together.
Yep.
As long as they're around the same size-ish. Because some of them are obviously bigger than others. But, I mean, for my first try, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. How many do you have? Were you ever able to count them?
Yeah. So I got 13 from my first clutch. Half of my eggs didn't hatch. Like, it's a huge learning curve. Some of the people I talked to said, like, for your first try, if you even get one fish alive, it's like a miracle. So, because there's so much to it, right? Like you have to move the pot, like when you think it's going to be hatch day, and then put an air stone on them.
Yeah.
And you have to black out your tank to see if they hatch because they need complete darkness, and then feed them rotifers, green the water. So I got 13 from the first clutch and 10 from the second.
Oh, holy smokes.
Yeah, so I have 23 in total, but they're so cute. I'm still like, is this real? But they will be black. They're black Darwins, but they're orange right now.
Yeah.
I have a couple mist bars and like a couple ones that are having a little bit of a different color pattern, but most of them are just regular oscillators. But my Picasso started laying, so they laid a clutch about last Wednesday. So hopefully they'll lay again. They ate their first one, but that's normal.
Yeah.
So, but they're like really stunning. And then I have some babies, like tiny babies. You might not be able to see them in the
Oh,
video.
yeah. You can see them. Yeah.
They hatched on Thursday night, so they're just like really newborns.
Wow.
Again, a lot of my eggs didn't hatch. I did lose my third clutch. Like these are my fourth clutch, but I lost my third one. But I think they're so fragile when they're born, right? So I think I dosed too much of what you green the water with. I changed what I was using, and I think I did too much too fast, and I lost most of them. And then I had a couple, and then I lost them too. So that was kind of defeating, but.
Yeah.
These guys are doing okay. I think I have about maybe 30 in here. Again, a lot of my eggs didn't hatch, but I mean, for only a couple tries, I think I'm doing okay.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. So is this where you get the 500-gallon cube in the middle of your living room with one giant carpet anemone and you put like 300 clownfish in?
Well, I'm definitely keeping all of these ones for sure. So I'm like, I don't know what long-term plan is. Like they take a while to grow, right? By the time they're gonna be like 1 inch or something, it's probably gonna be, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months or something like that. They're so tiny when they're born. Like every time they hatch, I'm like, were they ever really that tiny? But it's pretty miraculous to watch, to be honest with you. But I don't know, long term, maybe if I'm successful, like I have another pair of my bullet hole clowns. I have 7 pairs and like a small harem in my 90, but out of my 7 pairs, I have 2 that are spawning, 1 that's close. So I mean, once they all start going, I probably will have to like maybe do an LFS thing, maybe. Yeah. Long term, but I mean, we'll see when I get there.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, let me know if you do the LFS thing, because I would, my daughter has talked about wanting clownfish, like a tank just with clownfish.
Oh, well, I would definitely give them to your daughter. Like I.
Oh no, like I would go to the LFS wherever you took them. You know,
It would probably be It would probably be in Burlington.
Yeah, I know what you mean. We got some comments here. Carlos, very cool clowns. Love seeing people breeding them. Casey Wagner, surprised they're not in the little cluster in the corner hiding together as a school. Yeah.
Sometimes they do, but I just fed them like they're actually eating like TDO. It's just like a TDO powder right now.
Yeah.
So they start off eating rotifers, and I'm actually also hatching baby brine shrimp for them.
Yeah.
Which is actually so easy to do. I just bought this little hatchery thing off Amazon, and you put eggs in, and within 24 hours, you put salt water in and put a light on them. Within 24 hours, they hatch. So I've been feeding them that since they went through metamorphosis, which is usually around 10 to 14 days. But the TDO, they definitely gobble up. So that's why they're swimming like this. Sometimes they gather all in the corner. But yeah, they're so
well, I think there's going to be fights in my tank fairly soon, because the clownfish that I have, the pair, they live in the front right corner, and they're starting to take all the sand off of the bottom. So I've had to move a few corals away because the maize brains have been getting coated in sand. So I've fixed that. But all of the other fish hang around that corner too. And I'm thinking, like, do they know that these fish are going to lay eggs and they're going to swoop in and get them all? Like, I don't know if I'm going to come in and find shredded fins and fight. I have no idea.
Yeah. My ones that are spawning, they're just like they're in a divided tank, but they don't have any other fish in there. But my Picassos that are spawning, they have a Midas bunny and a mandarin in there and a watchman goby, but those were the ones that were like knocking the snails off the glass like a giant
Yeah.
turbo snail. But I don't know. I also have a Boston larval trap. I don't know if you've looked at that, but if you ever decide to like rear, because obviously it's going to be hard if they lay on a random rock, like mine are playing in a pot.
Yeah.
But I have a larval trap just in case some of mine lay in a strange area where you just put it in the night of hatch night and they're supposed to get drawn to it. So it's like it's run by a bubbler, but
Yeah. Well, when I first saw the spawning behavior in my Red Sea tank of the Genicanthus angels, I did look into, what happens. And like there's various designs of, they call them fry snaggers,
okay.
so that they don't get destroyed by water pressure. They can get in there and it's safe for them. So I don't know. I don't know if I would go to that extent. When I was doing the mollies, they're live bearers, of course, that's easier.
Yeah.
But they were really, really tiny and fragile. And I would net them out of the tank, catch as many of them as I could, and put them separately in the sump. Well, I don't know if you've seen any of the Mollywood breeding molly videos, but I came up with a whole process, and it was pretty successful after a while. Like once you figure a few things out, it's fun to watch them grow, and they grow so fast.
Yeah. I did that with guppies like in my freshwater days. Actually, that's how I got into this. Like my daughter jokes, she's like, so I had this like 10-gallon freshwater tank, like I don't know, I had it forever. I just had some random like freshwater fish in it, and then one of her friends' guppies had babies.
Oh, yeah.
So she's like, do you want some? So she's like, oh yeah, now you have like 8 saltwater tanks and like reef tanks, and this all started with my friend giving you a couple free guppies.
I know, right?
Because mine started like doing the live bearing thing too, and then of course like our nurturing behavior, we want to raise them, right? Yeah. So I kind of got into that, and then I got into the planted tanks, and then I think we chatted about this, but I started watching Corey Willard on YouTube, and then I was like, okay, like if a teenager can do this, like because I was so intimidated by salt back in the day, I can definitely do it. And so I started with the BioCube, and now I'm doing this. So I mean, you definitely started with the guppies.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was the hardest thing for me was to actively decide I was not going to rescue any more baby mollies born. Because like I can't remember when the last one passed away. I think the last one passed away here, probably within about 6 months of we came here with 3 of them, because I remember 2 of them passed away, probably old age, because they were a couple of the original ones that I got. And then the final one just disappeared one day. It had a giant tumor on it, and I think it found it hard to swim, and it disappeared, and I was never able to find it. So, but when they were actively having babies, I had to convince myself if I saw them, I wasn't going to try and get them. Because, it's just endless. And then they start losing their actual hybridized colors.
Yes.
And
they're like really inbred.
Greenish gray, which is fine. I mean, they still do that. They're still mollies. They still do their thing. They eat algae and whatever. But I'm not sure whether some of that is that, like I joked once about getting 3 more to add some variety to the genetic pool. Like they can't keep breeding with each other and the subsequent generations and all of that without having some sorts of issues.
The only thing I miss from freshwater days is like the $3 fish.
No such thing. Well, even damselfish are supposed to be cheap, right? Like they're a cheaper fish, and I want to put I don't know, call me crazy, but I want to put 8 or 10 blue damsels in here.
I'm gonna call you crazy.
Awesome to see that, those flashes of blue all over the place.
Yeah. Clownfish are technically damsels, but I have never owned an actual damsel.
I have
never once.
I had a yellowtail blue damsel, beautiful fish, but a real jerk unless fish in the tank. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never. That's one thing I've never owned. Maybe because I think I was a little bit warned in the beginning, and then of course I started out with like a 30-gallon. I could probably add one to my
Yeah.
90, and it would be okay, kept in line. But
And you have other
um,
bigger fish too. Like you've got that blue hippo tang that would keep it in line.
yeah, he's growing fast.
I
Yeah,
bet.
all of my actually I added I had that Valentini puffer and the two yellow cory wrasse. I had them for I don't know, maybe like a few months in my observation tank, and they were just kind of hanging out in there. So I
Yeah.
just added them to the 90. I didn't see the cory wrasse for a couple days, but they're coming out and swimming now. And the Valentini, he's just like living his life. No one's bothering him, so
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah. I'm loving how the little coral beauty angel has fit right into this tank, because when I got him for my birthday in March, he was the size of a quarter, like, well, probably not even that big, really tiny and fragile looking. And now he's probably, oh, at least 2.5 inches now. And he and the Blenny kind of run each other off their territories, and they dash through the holes in the rocks, and it's so fun to watch. And so he's right out with the big fish now when it's time to eat. So it's cool. It's kind of made me a little more encouraged to get some smaller fish, because that was what I was worried about, is if I get smaller fish, are they going to have trouble with
Yeah.
these big guys, you know?
I've never had a coral beauty. I thought about it for a long time, but then I got the flame angel. So, and I think dwarf angel. Well, I guess a coral beauty is not really an angel, but I feel like they would maybe not coincide properly. But
Yeah, well, and the coral beauty that I have is captive bred, and they've said that it's the coral beauty is one of the less likely or more reef safe, if they could be reef safe, being a dwarf angel, and being captive bred. Maybe the odds are in my favor that it's not going to mow down my corals, but time will tell. We'll find out if it was a mistake. Like a lot
yeah,
of things in this hobby.
my plan for this tank was for it to be like a coral tank, but as you can tell, I just have mushrooms and a couple softies, and pretty much that's it with it right now. But so I think just because with the clown babies, it's been like that's really time consuming.
Oh
There's
yeah.
a lot to do with that. So for right now, this tank is kind of on autopilot, but the fish are all doing super well. They're all healthy, and there's not really any aggression, which is good. The
Yep.
Scopus tang I was a little bit worried about for a while. He was hiding for a little while. I'm not entirely sure why, but he seems totally fine now. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. I remember the Red Sea tank. It was always such a hard decision whether to add more fish, because when you have a balanced, peaceful community, you don't know what's going to happen when you add another fish. Even if it's a peaceful fish, it could cause other fish to get aggressive with each other, right?
Yeah, it
So,
can totally change the hierarchy. Like that's one of the things I've noticed more like a lot more since I have this bigger tank is that I mean my other tanks I just kind of have smaller fish in them and I don't feel like I mean sometimes blennies can be aggressive and stuff, but generally they've been fairly peaceful tanks. But once I started adding the tanks and stuff, there was a whole new
yeah.
learning curve to me how the hierarchy can change when you add
Mhm.
one fish. I mean, when I added this like tiny hippo, he's still super tiny. He's maybe like a couple inches, but I think he was like half an inch when I got him.
Wow.
So he didn't really change anything. But even when the chocolate tang, he got bullied a little bit when I added him, but and the Scopus and the purple I added at the same time.
Yeah.
But I think when I added the clowns, that's when the Scopus started. He used to be the tank bully, but he's kind of not so anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think this guy is actually the tank bully. This one fish, this one clown fish.
Yeah, it doesn't
He
surprise
bosses everybody around.
me. Well,
But
I mean, my clowns, as I mentioned, I think which corner are they in? I can never tell. This one? No. This one? Yeah. This corner, right in the front here. Um, that's why I want to get my corals planted, because that female is going to go after me if I try and do anything anywhere near where she is. And I don't know if you heard from last week when my husband was helping me. We put a candy cane rock in at the back, and the sailfin tang was actually slapping him with his tail, and, like trying to run him off.
Your husband?
Yeah, and
Oh my God.
freaking out a little bit. Well, because they have those scalpels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sailfin tang. I've had him since he was the size of, I don't know, a loony. Him and the purple I got at the same time, and they grew up together. And now when he flares his fins, like, oh my God, like he's freaking huge. And they're also fat. But I mean, it's good because the fatter they are, the more well-fed they are, the less likely they are to fight over food and territory, right? Yeah. Oh, hey, Sensational Seas. He says coolness, he or she, coolness.
Yeah, my clowns, when I take the pod out to take their eggs, the female like literally tries to murder me. I always feel bad every time, but I mean, I know if they hatch in the tank, they were just gonna eat them. But
yeah,
I mean, the first time I took the pod out, I was like, oh, I stole their babies. But I mean, they're laying like every 2 weeks now, so
yeah. My clowns that I had in the Red Sea tank, the pair that I lost were the Black Darwins, sweet little souls generally, but when they had eggs, which they probably had, once they started laying, probably at least 6 clutches before the tank move. And I don't know, do you call it a clutch when they nest eggs?
Yeah.
So that was always interesting. And then, I would see the eyes and I would try and catch the hatch. And I'm sure one time I saw a couple of the babies in the water column because I couldn't figure out what else they could be. Those, glistening dots.
Yeah.
But that's all I ever saw.
They're kind of see-through when they first hatch. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't have that many. And then when I start looking at them, I'm like, okay, I actually do. There's all these little like see-through little things with eyes on them. But, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting experience for sure.
And how's your swallowtail angel doing? I just saw her go by there.
Oh, she's doing great. She's I still hope to maybe get a male sometime, but you still have the pair, right?
I do, yep, the pair. Yeah. And they were the ones that were showing the spawning behavior the other night when I was working in there. And
wow.
Yeah, it's really close to lights out. And what happens is the male starts zooming around and kind of swimming on an angle, and the first few times you see it, you wonder if there's something wrong with him. But then when I looked into it, then his whole body will quiver in his fins, and then he'll approach the female, and half the time she just turns her back and she's chewing on the rocks or whatever they do, whatever they pick at. But a couple times, because of the way they spawn, they do these swimming movements, and then they come together, the eggs and the sperm are released, and then they go apart and go their own way. So I haven't witnessed that, but Nick at my LFS has seen Lamarck angels spawning like that.
Oh wow.
So but like I said, there's no real possibility that I'm going to be able to do anything with the actual eggs or whatever. So I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know anything about that, but I'm sure. I mean, with anything that you're raising from larva or whether they're live bearers, they're so fragile, right? So especially in a giant tank like that, it would probably be more challenging. But it is interesting how you're like, is something wrong with them? When I first got this little baby hippo, the first night, I was like, oh my gosh, I killed them. They were like laying down on the ground, but he was just like sleeping, playing dead. So like now I'm used to it. And same with my purple.
They just kind of lay somewhere, don't they? When they get those tangs. Yeah, my tangs go into the cave. I know where they all sleep at night. And the the back left corner is where the yellow tang sleeps at night. And usually I go along with my blue flashlight at some point because I like looking at this stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of
Same.
times you see stuff that well, for example, last night, my Turbinaria reniformis, which is one of the 3 types of Turbinaria that I have 2 types of reniformis, and I don't know if they're both reniformis or different from each other, but the one is flat and has a yellow rim around the outside and all these bumps all over it. And I read somewhere that the polyps only come out in the dark. And so I keep watching and I'm thinking, come on, like at some point I've got to get polyps out on this thing. It's healthy, it's growing. Last night, for the first time, I finally saw the polyps open on it with my blue flashlight. And it was so exciting because how long have I had that thing? Like, a year maybe? And that's the first time I was able to spot the polyps open. So anyway, blue flashlight. And so I try not to spook the fish if I can help it, because I don't really want them to go find somewhere different to live. If I ever need to get them out of there and I know where they sleep, I stand a better chance of, being able to corral them in a smaller area. And so anyway, that's where the tang, the yellow, and then the purple tang is in the one rock structure ahead of that. The sailfin tang is over on the back right corner in a bigger cave. The angelfish sleep underneath. There's 2 crevices, and they sleep in the crevices near the front. So I know where they all sleep at night. So it's just a matter of just keeping an eye on it. And then when I get more fish, who knows? Because everybody's going to have to look for their own cave.
Yeah. I do that too because I like to know, like you said, where they are and where they're sleeping and stuff like that, because I mean, I always check on them at night, and if someone doesn't wake up early in the morning, I'm like, oh, something's wrong with them, but there's usually not. It's just being paranoid. But I mean, it's interesting to see.
The thing about this hobby, right? It's like you're every time you walk in the room, it's like, what's going to be dead or knocked off or not doing well.
Right.
You can't get away from that kind of thought process. It's because it happens so often, and when it's a mystery, that's really hard. Like sometimes you can see exactly what's going on, but so many times there's just no clue why.
Yeah, that's happened to me. Like in the beginning when I would lose fish, I mean, I would be devastated, and I would be like, I mean, not that I'm still not now, like but I also have a little bit of a different perspective that, we're keeping like the most sensitive creatures alive in these glass boxes. And, sometimes, I mean, we're going to lose things, and you're right. It's hard when we have literally no idea why. It's even harder, I think, if it's a mistake we make and we know I screwed up, but so I don't know what's worse, if we don't know or if we know we screwed up. But if it's something out of our hands, that's the best situation. But
I don't mind if I know that it was me that screwed up, because I learned from it. When you don't know what went wrong, you don't know if it was something you did that you're not even realizing that. I want to try and avoid it happening again. And like, that's how I live my life. Something happens, I want to figure it out so it doesn't happen again. So I can take steps that I oh, look, they're messing with each other in the corner in the front here. This is the time of night when they chase each other around. I fed them a little bit early, so they're probably going, she's over there. Like, where's our food? Because they forget, right? Casey Wagner just fed the plate coral. It's like having your own tiny sarlacc pit. I don't know what that is. Had 5 Julie DeChromis earlier. Moved their rock to another tank. Still had 5. Moved their sponge filter. Still had 5. Went to get a net to move them. Came back. Had 4. No sign of the missing one. Oh my God. Yeah.
Anyways, I gotta head out because my phone's gonna die, but I just wanted to check in and show you my clowns and see how you're doing. So hopefully I'll see you next week as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks for coming by. It was awesome
to
see those guys and you. Thank
you. Bye now.
Bye. That is so cool. So cool. Okay, I'm gonna have to look this up, Casey, because Julie DeChromis. Juliochromis. Let's just see what that is for everybody. Juliochromis. Okay. So they're a type of cichlid. Cool. I mean, not cool that you can't, that you had that problem, but cool fish. Cool looking fish. Okay. Alex is working away. Freshwater cichlids. Okay. Yeah. What else were we talking about there? Yeah, we were talking about cyano a little bit earlier. I do have a stretch at the back of the tank behind the rocks. I've left a lot of space back there deliberately so that, like, when things fall down, I stand a reasonable chance of actually being able to retrieve them. Because A, I can see them, and B, they're reachable because the rocks aren't in the way. And so my original idea was to set up a power head on either side and to shoot across the back, like one slightly offset from the other, so that there was a bit of a gyre going back there. And because of where I originally put my Cinerina, I couldn't do that because it was really getting folded in half because of the flow from 5 feet away. So I stopped with that. But I just realized, as I was talking about it earlier, I can probably do it again because they're not at the back anymore. They're at the front. This one right here, right above my finger, that's the big one. And then the orange one is over here. And for whatever reason, that particular spot, the flow is okay for them, other than it's a little too much for the big one. I think if I adjust the position a little bit, or maybe swap positions, I might be able to get away with it. But anyway, the back is now clear. So maybe I'll set up the pumps again, the power heads again, and try to skim them just along the sand surface so that it keeps things moving, and maybe I can control the cyano back there somewhat that way. Hey, Diacanthus, just lurking per usual. Thanks for streaming, Cindy. Oh, thanks for coming by. Thanks to everybody for coming by, because I know it's Saturday night, other things you could be doing. One of these days I will figure out how to get my phone as a guest without killing you guys with feedback. And my husband volunteered to go around and be the videographer with the tank and do a bit of a tank tour, because even when I do videos, there's a lot of the stuff in here that I can't get decent video of. So it's a little different when you're moving the camera around just for a live stream, because I remember I used to do this all the time. But when you're actually capturing video, I want to get the best quality I can if I'm going to produce a video with it. So it's hard to get some of this stuff to where it doesn't look the wrong color, or it's too blurry, or I don't know. It's just really hard. And that's a function of having 5 by 5 feet. And I'm learning all these things now about sort of the drawbacks. I was mentioning last week about trying to find a lens attachment for my cell phone that's actually got a zoom and a short focal length, minimum focal length of like around 50 centimeters instead of 20 meters to 3 miles. And the difference between a zoom lens and a telephoto lens, it's not a telephoto you want, because what that does is focus in on an object, and you can get that object, but you can't zoom. You can focus at a distance, but you can't zoom into that focus. So, okay, Alex.
Are we having fun yet?
I don't know. You answer that.
Well, I just finished my ice water pretty quickly, so.
Oh boy.
But I now can see my fun little scrapings here.
Yep.
I think I got everything. I'll probably make 1 or 2 more passes at it, but
yep.
Still a lot of little air bubbles on the side. So
yeah.
But that's I don't know, maybe a a square foot out of 200 and, well, actually more than 216 square feet. Not bad.
Oh boy.
So
Is there a reason that these things happen along the edges like that as opposed to
well,
the center?
so what's happening is you got the layer of the 2 layers of fiberglass for the side,
Yeah.
and then the bottom's going over the top of that.
Oh.
So when I
Okay.
have this creates a pocket possibly here sometimes. So
Yeah.
I just grind them down if it's a big bubble, and if it's
Yeah.
a little tiny one, I don't care so much about it, but
Yeah.
so
Wow. Holy.
on to phase 2. So
And do you ever get like low blood sugar and all of that from the exertions? Like I know with me, like when I start getting low blood sugar, I actually have a thing now that
I
sounds,
don't know. If I do, I don't know about it.
yeah, I have a thing that sounds an alarm because my husband can always tell when I have low blood sugar because I nothing I say makes any sense.
Well, if that starts happening to me, let me know.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's lots of jokes that people could make about that. But oh, Casey, you might be able to get a dummy plug for your phone mic to prevent feedback. Yeah, we figure we have to just spend an afternoon testing it and figure out how to actually set it up so that it's seamless in the sense that I don't have to use you guys I don't have to make you guys sit through me experimenting with it so that I can test it and I know it works so it can just be okay, here we go, and then we can put it up full screen, because that would probably be a little more interesting, if we don't have other guests than just sitting there listening to me going, okay, what else can I tell you? So Alex, you're waiting for resin. And
Yeah.
are you any like when you start getting quotes for your glass, do you have the opportunity to get more than one quote, or is there a choice of supply, or are you pretty much have to go with one?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna go to a few places. So my I told my LFS that they will get an opportunity
Yeah,
since I'm good friends with them, and
yeah,
then there's several others I'll be reaching out to with everything to see if they're interested to do it. Not everyone just sells cut glass. Some places do not want to sell it. Um,
yeah.
and then I don't know if I'm going to bother with any straight out glass suppliers. I had bad luck with that last time.
Oh,
So just because the prices that they were quoting me and were they were out in fantasy land.
yeah.
I mean, I didn't quite understand that, but literally I had one window guy that for my last build that, or I should just say glass guy, he quoted me 3 times the cost to get my actual glass. And then he goes, well, that doesn't include delivery.
Oh my God.
I'm like, I had another person say 3/4 inch glass. You're insane. Nobody does that. And I'm just like, yeah, you're not the window place or glass place I want to go to then.
Yeah, exactly. Casey Wagner. Alex, I need to buy some coral rock. LFS, how much do you need? Alex, about 2. LFS rocks. Alex, tons.
Probably be more of a, how many pellets would you like to sell me?
Yeah, that's right, exactly. Skids worth. That's hilarious. Yeah, and so your glass, I assume that it's going to have to be polished too, like along around the edges, just for handling, if nothing else.
It depends who you get it from. Some like cut swipe it and they'll put a nice clean edge on it. Some of them have polishing machines, so
Yeah,
just depends on who you talk to.
yeah,
If they have polishing, I'm probably gonna pop for it because I got that for my last glass pieces.
Yeah.
Well, at least the one I didn't break.
Yeah, but you
The one
want
I,
to be
the
exposed.
one I broke, that one had to be that one was just a swipe edge, but it turned out really nice though.
Yeah,
They,
but
they,
you don't have any exposed edges though.
no, I mean, on the very top, they'll be, the top of the glass will be about here. So the top of the glass will be there, but it's not something I would exactly say, is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, I forgot to drill those holes out. I might want to do that.
There's a thought. Yeah, Casey says Joey from the King of DIY might be able to point to someone who can do 3/4. I think he's got that or thicker on the 2500.
Yeah, well, I haven't watched his channel in forever, but
Yeah.
I know it's big cement tanks, acrylic, but no, there's plenty of places that'll do 3/4. It's not as much. There's plenty of people that do it. Are they willing to sell it as glass pieces and not an aquarium?
Yeah.
Some vendors are not, for whatever reason, not for doing that. I don't know why. But
You would think it would almost be easier because once they ship the cut glass, they don't have to. There's no further liability. There's no further sort of what if it blows a seam because they don't do that part of it, right?
no, I mean they wouldn't have any part of it there.
Yeah.
No, but I remember one company I went to kind of looked at me strange, and they'd be like, "Well, we'd do it, but we wouldn't ship it. You'd have to pick it up." And I'm like, "What? Like, really?
Okay, I'll come there with my pallets. And
You wouldn't ship it, but you do it, but you wouldn't ship it." I really kind of scratched my head at that one because I was like, well, I mean, it's just going to go common carrier anyways. I mean, we insure it. It gets packed. It's flat sheets of glass. It's not even a box,
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can pack it better.
Yeah.
But
I couldn't believe how unprotected my tank was when it arrived. Like there was black shrink wrap around the stand. That was it. The tank itself was open to the air on the sides. There were gaps in the crate. I mean, obviously, if they do it that way and it survives without any scratches or nicks or breaks, well, it worked. But there wasn't even a fragile sticker anywhere on the crate. Anywhere.
yeah, that. Sorry for the noise for a sec. Forgot I gotta sand something real quick here before I do this. So, yeah, I mean, the last time I got my glass, they had each sheet wrapped in cardboard, and it was attached to a pallet really nicely. I mean, it's not. Again, that's why when someone had said, "Well, we won't ship it for you, but we cut it," I kind of just had that, just kind of relieved look, like of
Yeah.
all the things, and they were real hesitant too. Like they didn't even really want to do it. I'm like, really? Like, this is like an easy job for you.
It would seem so, yeah. Well, I guess it's like our builder when we got the house built and we asked them for a quote on a built-in medicine cabinet for the bathroom. Because it's something that blows my mind. None of these guys put medicine cabinets in bathrooms anymore. And the quote ultimately was $275 to finish the recess in the wall, and $685 allowance for the cabinet. So when we stopped laughing at the $1,000 medicine cabinet, we just said no thanks. So what it is they just don't want to do it. So if you do go ahead with it, they'll make a crap ton of money on it. If you don't go ahead with it, then they don't have to do it because they don't want to do it anyway.
Yeah, they, even with my house, the extra electrical work, they kind of, gave me a hard time about. And, you know, I was like, you'd think that the wiring for an electric car charger would be kind of standard now, but
You know what? It used to be the builder that we have up until about maybe 3 years ago, like a year before our house was built. It came as standard with the house, 200 amp service and an electric charging thing in the garage. And they took it out because it, like, people were saying, well, no, don't put it in, don't put it in. And they were giving everybody credit. So they just stopped including it. So we wanted the 200 amp service, obviously. And because of all of the stuff that we had to do to the house to accommodate the aquarium, we had a much easier time with when we got to the electrical part of it, because they all knew, like, any of them that we talked to knew, oh, you're the people with the aquarium. So it was a lot easier to get what we wanted because there wasn't the pushback, right?
yeah, that should help. Oh. All right. All I need is a box, and then I got to mix up one batch of pond armor.
Yep.
Then I could coat that back end, and I am done for tonight.
Nice.
All right. The nice thing about the pond armor is I'm not using enough of that to where I'm really concerned about it. So it's going to be a easy job.
So it's mainly the fiberglass, right? And then the pond armor is just like a finish coat.
Yeah, and well, I've got a whole bunch of pond armor that I have one kit, and then my friend gave me a couple kits,
Right.
and they're expired.
Yeah.
It'll still work, but I'm not going to use the expired stuff on the bottom of the tank that's submerged.
Right.
But on the backside perimeter where it's a splash zone, and that's it, I could lay that stuff on there ultra thick, and I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. Yep.
All I need now, stirring stick.
I'm watching my clownfish through the camera. Oh, those guys, I keep saying they're going to lay eggs, and my husband keeps going, you keep saying that.
Oh, yeah. I need my denatured alcohol.
And what's that for? To thin it out?
Yep, it helps thin it a little bit. Matter of fact.
Oh, did you see my thing about my glue score? Remember?
Oh, yeah, I was hearing that.
Yep.
At the very beginning, before I was starting to suit up when I heard it.
Yep.
So
79 Canadian cents. So like free in US dollars. No, I'm just kidding. Yep. Oohoo extra thick gel. And I went to the German website, looked at the data sheet, and it's cyanoacrylate. No other ingredients mentioned. So I'm going to test it out on some frags in the observation tank and see if anything shrivels up and dies. See whether it holds, in fact. Casey Wagner, my clowns start sweeping sand off the bottom before they, yeah, these guys have cleared the whole front corner. And in fact, I helped them a little bit because I took the big baster. The sand is a little thick in that corner, so I took the big baster and got it down almost to the glass. And then I just let them, do whatever they wanted to do. So now the whole top of the Euro brace, the bottom Euro brace is clear. And then there's sand in the corner up to the Euro brace. So they've got space. They've, and they go up and down that corner all the time. The male spends most of his time at the top. In fact, is that the male up there now or the female? Might be both of them. But see, the angelfish is hanging out there. Oh, look who it is. Alex. It's Reefing with O. He's at RAP in Anaheim.
Oh, boy.
Hey, O.
Oh, I half expected to see like a club music and lights going.
Disco ball.
and Greg in the middle of the dance floor getting down.
Wait, I don't know what's happening. I can't find the window. Oh, there it is. Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. Oh, how's rap?
It has been fun, man. Fun.
Wait, there's not like an after party going, or it hasn't started yet?
There's a little something, I think.
Well, it's 9.
I'm just resting up.
It's almost 10 here. So what's it like 5 p.m. there?
It's 43.
Oh, it's only 3 hours? No, really? Okay.
I don't even know what time it is because I'm
Well,
I'm roasted in my tieback suit.
it's 9:44 Eastern, so it would be 8:44 Central where you are, right?
Yes. Oh, for Alex, yes, definitely.
And then it's you said it's 6:40.
6:44.
44, yeah. Cool. Yep. So have you bought anything yet? Oh. Or is your wife listening? Is your wife listening? No, you didn't buy anything. It was all given to you, right?
I got some stuff. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy yet.
Yeah. Are you planning on trying to get some coral to bring back?
Yes. Oh, yes. I have a Worldwide Corals box.
Right.
Insulated box, so I'm going to check it when I'm coming back.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to check it. Oh, and hope that it arrives back with you in New York. See, this is it's just in Canada, because in Canada, we have the worst airport in the world for lost luggage and delayed and canceled flights. It's just a horror story up here.
We've been that's been making our local news too. So
yep.
It's been fun to watch that actually.
Yep.
Wow, you're scaring me now.
So, hey, Skookum Chuck. Nice to see you. 6:44 Pacific. Yeah, so, there's Sammy 31D. Late. Hello. Yeah, we've been talking about how we know some people who have done some traveling, and their experiences have been mixed. I do want to go. Man, I miss coral shows. I want to go to one, but I don't want to fly, just because, like, if anything bad's gonna, I don't handle that well. When we do trips, my husband does the research. You can't believe the detail he goes into, and so that if anything goes wrong, it'll be minor, or he plans for stuff to go wrong, so we know how we're gonna solve it, right? So, hey, WVU Reefer. Yeah.
I have a connecting flight, so I purposely gave myself like a little bit just in case, something got messed up. I'm not stuck somewhere,
Yeah.
I get it. You know who I just saw? The guys from Fragbox are here.
Yeah, March. Nice.
March is here too.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
he's doing the rounds of all the shows now, and he's got a whole series of bespoke tanks and nano tanks that he's setting up. So I may just have to get one and put some of Terran's clownfish in it.
Oh, wow. He sells so many big colonies that it's so different than what happens here. I was just telling him that. I said, you do these big colonies and you get them in, and in the US, someone would be thinking, hey, I got a chop.
Yeah. There. Yeah, my LFS does colonies too. I bought a yellow Efflo colony that was probably the size of a baseball, and we had planned to cut it in two so that I could put it like on either side of my cap rock at the back. And we did, and I ended up with 3 more frags that I'm now growing out to take back to the LFS, get some credit. But it's finally getting its yellow back. I did an update. Well, the video reminder for the stream, I've started to turn that into like a weekly update of what's going on with the tank, because I'm so far behind. And I've got some footage of it showing the yellow starting to come back to it. So crossing my fingers and hoping that it does turn the color it's supposed to be.
I hope so. If I know I'm late to the party here, but can someone give me the quick rundown on what's happening with Alex? Because it looks, it
Well,
looks
you got it, what you missed is I don't even know how long we've been going. Maybe like an hour of me with a full respirator, eye protection, ear protection on, and a vacuum and a saw grinding fiberglass.
Yeah, it's been more than an hour because I think you were in here within about 15 or 20 minutes. And
Yeah.
it's, so an hour and a half anyway. Or
I
close.
figured I would share with everyone the joy and fun of working on fiberglass so they can experience the fun just as I have.
you need that suit to work on fiberglass?
Oh yeah, you don't want I'm not really doing much with the dust right now. But since I'm in here until I get it all coated with epoxy and everything, I'll probably wear a suit every time I come in just to save myself from the itchies. And well, you couldn't see it, Cindy, but I did while I was running my hands along the side, did manage to get stabbed by a stray piece of fiberglass, which was not very fun.
Oh, no. And do you have to do anything to get that out from under your skin? Like, does it break?
Just yanked it out. It was a big piece, luckily.
Oh,
So,
man. Yuck.
but no, I'm still waterproofing, and I ran out. Well, I shouldn't say I ran out. I don't have enough fiberglass resin to complete the last layer on the bottom. So I'm doing all the other work that I can, and like right now I've got some old pond armor this is expired, but I'm going to use it on an exterior part of the tank that's like a splash zone. So I can coat it again with some other good stuff, but I just figured I'd use it since I got it. And I think who was in here? Was it Terrence Little Ocean earlier?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You haven't missed much else though.
No. Casey Wagner says we should crowdfund a Steadicam for March. Yeah, but you know what? That's his personality. Like, he's scattered.
ADHD.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of, I don't know, that it kind of, maybe a Steadicam would improve just a little bit of the jitters and still not take away from the frenetic kind of character of what he portrays. But anyway, it's fun.
I actually, listen, I've never been diagnosed, but I actually can see with the way he does things because it's just the way my mind works. It's just here's a new shiny thing. Oh, here's a new shiny thing. Ooh, yeah. Here's a shinier thing. So I can see.
Hey, listen, I think I was a raven in a past life. I'm about the shiny things.
Yeah, it was good. I saw what WVU Reefer say. I saw WVU Reefer say about frags. Yeah, it depends. You can get some frags from some people that are really tiny, really, really tiny.
The only frags I've ever worked with that are really, really tiny are when I personally have maybe accidentally bumped off a little tip of something. And if it still showed color, rather than waste it, I would just pop it on a frag plug to see what would happen. And any of those that I've ever grown out, I've just used myself. But I would never buy one because it's too risky. There's not enough of it to survive if something happens. Yeah.
So, does a Biz have the flow cannon and a tank set up, or just the dry display?
A Biz isn't here.
What?
They're going to be giving it away tomorrow. One away. It's going to be in the raffle.
Oh, okay. I saw Greg with standing next to a flow cannon.
Yeah, that bad boy is awesome. It's going to be given away in the raffle tomorrow. So yes.
Hey, Wood Golf Jones, glad you could make it.
I know. There are out here on the West Coast, though. I think generally frags are better. Like I see Steve Garrett from Garrett's Acropolis. He has some. Actually, I bought something from him. I bought a Langsai Monty cap, which is something I haven't seen in a while. Yeah.
I would like those. I don't know I don't know if that's common in Canada.
I've killed a few of those.
Oh yeah.
I've had bad luck with Monty's, and then when I finally got them in the last system going, I moved. So
I got a nice piece of langside. He has a lot of Steve Garrett, and he grows them outdoor in a system which is it's just interesting. I think it's interesting, but there's a lot of good stuff here. There was a $10,000 like bounce mushroom. I think I put it on Instagram right before.
Oh boy.
Yeah, they did. But this. Listen, I wouldn't pay 10 grand for anything, but it has the most bubbles I've ever seen, and I was like, what?
Wow.
It was nuts.
Hey,
It
Will,
was
Collector's Lounge. Glad you can make it. Yeah, I'll have to look for that.
10.
yeah, I don't know if I could swallow 10 grand for a.
And is it like an OG, like one of like the very first type that came
Whatever
around?
it was. I have no idea, but yeah, you see the 10K price behind it. I don't know if that was a marketing thing or what. And you know what? I forgot to go back to which booth it is. But yeah, 10 grand.
Crazy, man. Well, I have a monster plate coral that's like the oral disc itself is about 8 inches.
Oh, it's Coral
wide.
Exotic. Really?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. This is when I wish I could get my phone and show you, but anyway, it's the thing is enormous, but I love it because that's what this tank is about. Big coral. Like lots of big stuff so that it can grow to its full potential. Or no, it can't grow to its full potential. That's not going to happen because otherwise I would have one coral in this tank. But you know, the LFS guy keeps saying, you know, you got to take this because nobody else has a tank big enough anymore.
You'll enjoy that. That's always my favorite thing. My last tank is my LFS would call me up and be like, "Hey man, someone brought some fish over here and I can't." He's like, "I don't know what to do with this thing." So I've actually passed a couple fish because I was like, I don't even want that.
Yeah. Well, did you see Phil, Reefkeeper, has a tang that was sold to him as a juvie berrien tang, and now he's wondering what it actually is.
Mm.
I saw him. I saw him today. I'll ask him. I forgot to ask him about.
So I don't know if he ever got a positive ID. Lots of people were giving big suggestions, and at first I thought it was maybe a yellowfin, because those things get 28 inches long.
I'm gonna mute myself here while I throw this epoxy down. I should be back in a few minutes. I'll keep the video running.
Okay.
All right. That tank behind you looks good.
Oh, thanks.
And
yeah,
I
did a video this week. If you want to see it, if you want to see some detail of it, I did the update video I put out on Thursday. Yeah, that ledge, that was the mistake. The tank was supposed to be 60 wide by 66 front to back. And the guy made it 60 by 60, but he made the stand the right size. So we had no idea because when we measured it, it was in the crate. And we didn't realize we were including the overflow in the measurement because, of course, we couldn't really see what we were doing when we first checked it. And then after we finally got it fixed and everything, and we were talking about what we had to do to get it into the house, and my husband was taking all the measurements just to make sure about the angle it had to come in through the door and all that kind of stuff. And he came in and he says, "You're not going to believe this." And I went, "What?" And he said, "The tank is only 68 by 60. And I just looked at him and I went, "Off, you're pulling my leg." At this point, after everything that's happened, but he wasn't. It was only 60 by 60.
Did you get, and this is after you got the tank repaired and everything, right?
Yep. But I asked for significant financial compensation and they paid it.
Oh man.
So, you know, I'm satisfied with the status of the outcome, but the whole process was really difficult. So we thought, you know what, can't do anything about it. We couldn't move the tank forward on the stand because then the plumbing wouldn't work at the back because it's an external overflow. So of course the overflow had to overhang the back of the stand for the pipes to work. So we had to line it up with the back of the stand, and that left us with this gap at the front. So the front support goes all the way across. Well, there was only 2 bars on the outside and the one strut in the middle to support the middle of the front. And I went like, I don't know, like, shouldn't the whole front be supported? So we had to send the stand out, have another bar welded in across 6 inches back, and then powder coated again, because by this time it had been powder coated white. So they had to do that welding, powder coated again. The tank builder paid for it. And we decided to get a 1/2 inch thick piece of plate glass made to put on that shelf. And I really like it. It has turned out to be a good thing. I would have been fine with it the other way because my lights are all set up for it to come 6 inches more this way. So we had to move the front lights. Good thing we put multiple hooks up there for positioning. But now I have nowhere to go with them because they're as far back as I can put them. Like, it just it was everything.
That's a nice little. That's nice. That's a nice little working ledge, though.
It is, and I use it a lot. And it's beautiful plate glass, so I clean it regularly so you can see through it down into the stand. And I don't put junk in the stand. I mean, I've got plants in there right now.
Oh man.
So
because that's not a sump. That's just a stand.
Oh, my sump is in the basement. Come on.
Yeah, I remember. No, I remember. No, I know that. I just, I see the plants and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yep.
Mangroves. I'm really liking mangroves. I just don't know if I'm going to.
Yeah.
I might, and I might.
Yep.
Get.
It's Julian Sprung, right? Like
Yes.
He's such an inspiration when it comes to that.
I was thinking, and this is sound weird, I might get a flower pot and put some mangroves in my house somewhere.
Yep.
And then put salt water in it, but just have a dosing pump draw and put water from the sump in it. Almost like a mini water change. Like not because I want, but just because I need it to continually, have nutrients. Just a thought. I don't think it's going to happen, but
that'd be like filtration.
Yes. I just want to keep the mangrove alive without, But yeah, I just think that would be cool. I love mangroves. Yeah,
they're nice. Algae Warrior says, I got a baby white cheek tang that ended up being a Mata tang. Ooh, that's another big one. You gotta be so careful.
Mata tang.
Yeah, so if you want to get a tour of the tank, I think it's like 13 minutes or something, the video I put out on Thursday. And I had to do top down to show people the SPS corals I've got, the sticks up along the back, because this is another challenge of the big tank. My phone camera can't zoom in enough to get any detail. And I've been looking for an accessory like a zoom lens. Telephoto is not what you want. Zoom lenses need a short focal length, so you can get a telephoto with zoom, but they're only good from 50 meters. So you have to stand 50 meters away to use it. Like it's just, there's no specific application with a short enough focal length that will zoom. And I'm not going to go and spend a couple $1,000s on a DSLR camera or whatever. It's just not in the cards. So I did top down, and top down worked out pretty good, except when I'm reaching way, 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 way out into the center with the phone box, like with the acrylic box that's got my phone in it, I can't see what's on the camera screen. So I just have to kind of pause and go, okay, is that the right spot? Like, hopefully, it's just challenging.
I know. I can imagine. And that's, so my new tank, this is going to be we're tall folks in the Seymour household. We're tall folks, but the stand is low because I went somewhere and I looked down at someone's tank and I really love the look down. Looking down at things. So when I sit, it's within my view when I sit. But for when I'm standing, I'm going to get a look down view. So it's going to seem like two different tanks, two different experiences. And I do want to clam. Here at RAP, I'm looking at Clam Mania. I have some beautiful, and he has some clams with some pinks.
Oh
some
boy.
pinks, which I've never seen before. So yeah, some clams with some pinks. And there's some good prices clams out here. So
What are the prices for clams? Like around here, we're looking at $3.50 for a crocea, like a small crocea.
oh no, I did this. So the guy, so well, I haven't spoken to Clamania, but there was another guy, and I was asking him. So there was $100 for a small, which is about 4 or 5 inches, and
Wow,
it was 300 for the larges, which were 6 and 7 and 8 inches.
that's crazy.
I know these
That's
weren't great. These were good clams. They weren't like because Clamania has the best looking clams. So I need to get his prices from him tomorrow. But
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I liked having a clam, and I had a squamosa in here that I lost. Actually, I don't know if it was because of ChemiClean, but it never ever put its foot out on the rock I put it on. It never attached. So I don't know if I had it in the wrong place or I just didn't treat it right. I don't know. But I had Stanley, the crocea clam, for almost 2 years, and the green wrasse killed him because he kept flipping him upside down. And eventually the clam just bailed. He couldn't handle it. I have a shell though. I have both shells. The crocea, which was fairly big, and it put on probably 1.5 inches of new shell while I had it. And then the baby squamosa, it's a lot smaller. So I kept the shells because if I ever get really tiny like barnacle blennies or anything, which I'm thinking about, they're ideal little spots for them to hide in that the other fish can't get in.
I was at there is a store in California, Amazing Reefs and Aquarium, ran by a guy named Ali, and I think Jake Adams did a video on his shop a few years ago.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
went to the shop. Oh man, he had. I think he got them from someone, but he has the shells of some clams and barnacles. And I was actually thinking of, man, like this would be awesome to. I think wrasses would love living in them.
Yeah. You know, barnacles, I highly recommend if you can get hold of barnacles. They make a really great addition to a tank because, well, my blenny lives in the barnacle. My Midas blenny lived in the barnacle. And they look nice. Just the shape of them and everything is really nice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can get them on Amazon fairly cheap. Even in Canada, it was like $10 for
Barnacles?
like 3, yeah, for like 3 decent size, not living ones, but the shells.
Wow.
And that's what I have in here in kind of in front of this. I've got a center, 2 rocks in the center, and in front of that are a couple of barnacles arranged around it. And that's where the blenny lives, the lawnmower.
I found a really nice one. Barnacles.
Yep.
Cluster for saltwater aquariums, 7 inches, $20.
Yeah. And I just rinse them in boiling water. Like I put them in a bowl, I boiled some water, and then I poured it over top, swished it around with some tongs, pulled it out, and then I did it again just to make sure, because you never know where some of these things come from and what they've done to clean them, Yeah.
Yep, I'd probably cure one for a couple of weeks.
Oh, here we go. WVU Reefer. Had a crocea, Durasa, and Maxima for years. Used ChemiClean. They were dead within 72 hours. Yeah. The timing was odd, but the thing never attached, and it kept moving. And so I don't know. That's good to know, though. It's like my plate coral. When I used fluconazole, the very first long tentacle plate I had, I swear it died because of the fluconazole. It just shriveled. It turned gray and turned to mush. Like within hours, it started turning gray. So if I ever use fluconazole again, I'm going to have to find somebody else with a big tank that I can temporarily house my giant monster long tentacle plate corals.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to stay away from those.
Yeah. So you're at the last day of wrap tomorrow.
Tomorrow, and then I fly
home. You're going to make all your purchases? Yes.
Yes, I'm going to collect. Yeah, I'm not doing too many crazy purchases. I got some frags from ReefKeeper.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Yeah. Nice.
I'm bringing home that Lang side cap, and I got I think I got a decent amount of Euphilia.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I have see, I'm going to be getting in trouble with the name lineage, but I have a weeping willow, which not from Jake Adams, but it's from Ali at Amazing Reefs and Aquariums. I got it from the guy who got it from Ali, and he's had it a long time before Jake Adams even had it. So I'm buying it as a weeping willow. I don't think I'll call it a weeping willow publicly, but I think these are the.
I learned the difference. People. The difference is because I have a long tentacle that I call the weepy toadstool, and the tentacles on it are like 2.5 inches long. But when you turn the flow off, they don't droop, and that's what I think is the difference. The true so-called weeping willow, when there's no flow, the tentacles all slump over, and then when the flow comes back, they all lift up again. And I'm pretty sure that's the characteristic of it. And I think also the color, is it not like a pink sort of color?
Tannish brownish, yes.
I had one that did that.
Yeah.
Lost it, removed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I gotta get out of the suit.
So, you're getting a new tank. What exactly is it? Or have you got it already?
No, it's getting to the depot on Monday.
Oh.
I'm thinking either next weekend or the following weekend is when I'll get it in. I already have the stand, which I probably should stand and do some paint work too.
Yeah.
The stand, the sump is already up and running, so I'm just gonna put the tank on the stand and then start the plumbing process.
Nice.
But it's 48 by 30 by 24.
Oh, nice. You're gonna love that 30 front to back. Yeah.
Really nice.
Casey Wagner says, please let there be clothes under the Tyvek.
Not that kind of show.
Not yet, anyway. So, are you still in your apartment, or have you moved?
Yes.
Now? Yeah, and so
I have not moved.
You're going to put it in the same place where you had your other tank in your living room?
Yes, I am, but I am going to. I have my son with me in California. I am going to. I got rid of the NEM tank, so it's only going to be one tank now.
Right.
One tank. There's going to be. I'm just doing one tank.
Yeah.
It's one tank, and it's going to be in the same place. Going to be a little bit more room around it.
Yep.
But yes, one tank.
And are you going to bring it out from the wall a little bit more? Like, because you got that 30 inches, right? So that's going to be a difference. Yeah.
So actually the peninsula side is on the left, so it's going to be viewable. So it's going to be viewable on the front and on the right. The back left. Okay, I know this is it's weird because the camera is reversed. So no, here. So here is the back. It's going to be on the wall.
It's going to be like kind of in a corner.
I didn't even realize that this is reversed.
It is backwards. I know. I keep doing this, and I think my hand should come up over there.
You're better off not looking at yourself in the camera.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's going to be against the wall. So the back left is going to be where the overflow is, and that's going to be up against a corner. And the back is it's technically a peninsula tank, but I had put vinyl on it. So if I move and I want to turn it into a peninsula, I can by just peeling off the vinyl. So it's going to be viewable from two sides. Right. And I've moved furniture, got rid of the NEM tank, where I'm going to have a clean view of the two full sides. So,
who's making your tank?
Glass Cages, Joe. Glass Cages.
Ah, okay. Yeah, they've had some. I've been liking the way they've been making their tanks. Did you get that trim on the top too, or
the smoke trim? Although I did get a Euro brace, I did get a cross brace, but I wanted 1/2-inch glass because I wanted to use MP40s. So I didn't want 3/4 inch. So I get a cross. There's a cross brace, but yes, I got the smoke.
Nice.
You brace, yeah.
And how deep is it? It's 48 by 30 by
by 24.
24. Oh, so what is that, about 210, something like that?
150-ish, I think.
150-ish? Okay.
And the sump is huge, so I
Nice.
got enough. I got the sump up and running already. Yes, gonna be using Aqua Roche rock.
Oh, is
That's
that ceramic stuff?
Yes. So I already purchased it. Actually, I purchased the exact. I don't want to do any aquascaping, so I purchased the exact scape I wanted. So it's actually at Shubi's house. So I need to go pick it up. Shubi's in New Jersey, so I have to go pick it up. So when I go pick up the tank in New Jersey, I will just pick it up from Shumi on the way.
Right.
So, but I have everything I need ready to go.
Nice. Oh, that's
I think so.
You
I
know,
think
having
so.
just one tank makes such a difference to your mental state. I mean, even now I have the observation tank, which is low maintenance because all there is a peppermint shrimp in there. I'm waiting for my next couple of fish that I want to get. And all I do once in a while is change the water periodically, give the shrimp a couple of flakes once in a while, like really low maintenance, but still got to check the ATO, still got to make sure, like the pump now is making a little rattling noise. And there's no power heads in there, so if the pump goes, we got trouble. Like it's on my mind all the time. You know, not to mention this thing. Yeah.
Big tank, big problems, but I don't have those issues. Y'all do. Y'all are the big tank people.
Yeah.
I've got my fingers crossed that my zinc problem is nearing an end. So
Well, have you got your ICP results yet? You sent that away a bit
I
ago.
did. So the zinc levels reduced by about 25% from the previous one a few months before.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just done a 25% water change. So I feel that I'm guessing the tiles are probably the source. There's a handful of them left in there, but the best thing is that the levels aren't rising.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying something else that so I posted on Reef and was trying to get, hey, has anyone dealt with this? And someone randomly posted and said, or I should say randomly, but they replied to me and said that, oh, I had high zinc issues. I was using GFO and it got rid of it. And I said, do you have any like scientific background on that, or like literature or something, or is this simply just a coincidence? And they didn't, as I recall, they didn't really say anything back to it. And I just went, well, I mean, I'm struggling to keep phosphate in the tank. GFO is the last thing I want. And I go, I'm going to have to do some reading. Well, I never did. So then I started to do some reading just about ferric oxide. And apparently it could be a very powerful metal remover for some metals.
Even though it's iron base itself?
It bonds. It'll make a molecular bond, apparently.
So
apparently they use it in freshwater to clean up contaminants, including zinc. They hadn't had a lot of studies on saltwater, but said, well, there's not necessarily a reason it wouldn't do it. So I bought some high capacity GFO and threw some in a reactor. So we're going to let it go a month and see what happens.
Yeah.
I heard you're not supposed to use the high capacity one because it absorbs slower, or I don't think in your case it matters because I think your tank is so big.
I mean, it's not even that much. And I mean, we're talking the zinc level was at 38 parts per billion. So it's very high. It's only supposed to be 0 to 5. But, at one point it was at I think it was over 100. So it's down a lot lower. Most of the corals aren't looking too bad, but I said, well, we'll give it a shot and see what happens. Mm-hmm. So if not, I'm going to I'm gonna hit some more water changes and see if we can't knock this thing out, because the last water change I did the last ICP was in May, or I think it was back in May. So it's been a little while and things haven't been, turned into total crap. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Wow.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Well, I mean, hey, worst case, we send another ICP test out, nothing happened. Oh, well, guess that didn't do anything. So
I'm almost afraid to send out an ICP now.
I mean, I think if everything's going well for you, like a periodic one doesn't hurt. I mean, my friends that have coral farms, they will do that.
Yeah.
And they said they've caught some things early before they got out of hand. Like, I think they had like a roof leak dripping into one of their systems and they started getting metal contamination.
Yeah.
And they caught that? Interesting.
So, yeah, so if they see something going weird and they can't figure it out, sometimes they'll do that. I mean, in my case, I started having a lot of weird stuff that didn't make sense. So,
yeah,
and throughout all of this, that the zinc has been the high thing. And
yeah,
from the reading I've done and observation I've seen, some things don't seem to care and other things really don't like it. So
and there's nothing really organic as far as livestock that will take it up. That's the thing. Like,
well, that's something I can't really speak to because I don't know if it has a potential to get locked into something.
mm-hmm.
And, it's like when it reaches its level of concentration, at what point have you reached the maximum absorption into things to where when you start lowering it out, it might come out? I don't know. But the fact that it reduced by the same percentage of the water change I did over a couple of months, over 3 months or so, telling me that I don't think I have a source
anymore. Yeah.
So, because historically it was rising. So we'll see though.
Yeah. Well, you can do.
I got one cool thing. I got to run in a minute, but I got one cool thing to show y'all. The new VCA things are actually
the flex ones.
I know, right?
Okay, that's a gimmick, or do you think it actually serves a function?
No. He actually did a demo
Yep.
Today with me where. So first of all, they're easier to mount because the old ones,
which makes sense,
you could only stretch them over lock line. These you could stretch them over multiple things.
And once you put them over the lock line, there's potential for them to pop off because that happens to me all the time. Like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love them. I think it's like the best thing since sliced bread, and I like the company.
Oh, he did a demo today where it showed, and I think he said the smooth material actually. Better because he said now it vibrates a little bit more.
Right.
Listen, I don't understand the science, but he said it vibrates when you're looking at it. When it's on, it vibrates, which he thinks creates more random flow. And he did a demo where he sprayed bubbles in it, and my gosh, like the bubbles were like, it was really, the flow didn't go too far, but whatever was coming out of the nozzle was totally randomized. And I think he said the science, because it's smoother, it actually works better.
Right. And maybe it would clog up less quickly.
Yeah. And to clean it, he said, when coralline algae is on it, you could just squeeze it and the coralline algae will pop off and you rinse it off.
Nice.
So,
is he still 3D printing them or is it a mold?
Yes. But, he's 3D printing the most stuff in the aquarium industry. So there's a lot he learns.
Yeah.
I asked him, are you 3D printing the most stuff? And he told me about some guys, not in the aquarium industry. So I imagine he's learned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This is still 3D printed material. He just learned the process to make them flexible.
Wow.
And so he's the one that's 3D printing the most stuff in this industry. So he's learning. So, you know,
Yep.
Yeah,
there's a lot
I'd be
to learn.
interested to know what which material he's using for that, because
PTEG still.
is it? I didn't know they had a
Yes.
flexible version of it, so that's cool.
Hey, don't ask me the science, man. I have no idea what the
Well, I
science
know
is.
that I've seen 3D printed stuff where they're doing more of it's more squishy and has that. I just didn't know it was that they had a Pat G like that. So
Yes. Let me try to see. So
that's pretty
I'm
cool, though.
I'm trying to. This is going to be weird again, but all right, this is going to be weird again. But let's see if I can play that and see. So yep, and then he's going to turn on some bubbles.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah.
See, and I know this because I have 2 air stones, one on each of mine. And when I do my bubble scrubbing, that's when I can tell what's happening with it. Those things do amazing, like honestly. And if the pumps are set up for good flow, the bubbles end up right at the front. They get pushed by the gyres, and they're like all through the tank. Yeah,
Yep.
that
And
is.
it's not that more expensive. It's only a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yep. Yep. I got to run.
All
I
right.
got to go out to dinner. But it
Have
was
fun,
fun.
though.
What
Yeah.
are you going to eat? Are you going out to eat somewhere? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
man.
Hey,
Tacos.
is Joe?
West Coast tacos on the West Coast are way
Nice.
better than tacos in New York. It's a whole different experience.
Hey, Joe Caparetta up there?
Absolutely.
Tell him I said hi.
All right. Yeah.
And Greg too.
All right. I'll tell Greg.
Yes, you had a Greg for me.
All right. I will. All right. Everyone
See
in
you,
the
though.
chat. I will see ya. I'll be in the chat listening and talking
Great.
away, but I gotta run downstairs. But thank
Well,
you for having
thanks
me
for
on.
coming in.
Always a pleasure. All right.
All right.
Enjoy Reefapalooza.
All right. Bye.
See you
See
later.
ya. Oh, I wish I could be there.
Yeah. Hey, Drama D. One Golf Jones. After years of running multiple tanks, I finally got down to 1 tank last September. Today, I have 3 up and running, with a 4th going up tomorrow after church. It's a thing. Hi, my name is Mike, and I'm a reef tank addict.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and you know, it happens in freshwater because if you really like it, then you start looking at what kinds of fish you can get. And then you start learning that you can only put certain kinds of fish with certain other kinds of fish. So you got to get a different tank. And then you find out that to get the right combination of fish, you need a certain size of tank. And so then if you're like us, you end up with 9 freshwater tanks, 2 55s, 2 35s, a 125, like, etc. Yeah. So it's no different when you come over to saltwater, except it's more expensive, and there really is more to worry about. When I think back to the freshwater days, I absolutely loved my big Oscars and, you know, the tanks that we had, but I was not sorry to downsize and ultimately end up with just 1 tank because it, you know, yeah, there are only so many hours in the day, and when you start having problems keeping up with things and the livestock starts to suffer, and yeah, that's the drawback for me.
Well, I am going to go and run out for a few minutes because I need to take a shower.
All right. Well, thanks for coming in,
I'll-
Alex. It's always great to see you.
Yeah, if you guys are still going when I'm done, I'll hop back in. But if not, everybody have a good evening.
Yep.
Maybe I'll see you in a little bit.
Yeah. Thanks again.
All right. Bye.
So yeah, unless we get another guest, I probably will end it because it's almost 10:30. And I don't know if there's anybody out there who wants to drop in and show us their tank or what they're doing. Now that I'm full screen, I guess you can see my tank a little clearer. The Cinerina I was talking about before is right here, and the orange one is there, and there's the Freak Hair, and there's that Crazy Torch that's black in the middle. Oh, there goes my yellow tang. So this is the time of night when the lights are going down. Right now, I have the bar lights across the front and down that side, and the front Atlantic panel is on, but the bar lights at the back and the other side and the back Atlantic panel are off. So I really should fix that kind of out of sync, because the Atlantic at the back goes off around 8 p.m. and the one at the front doesn't go off till around 11 p.m. But in a way, I kind of like it. I sort of like the moody lighting in here. And a lot of times you see the fish, they kind of calm down a little bit in a strange way. And this is when the angelfish do their zooming around. So I don't know. I'll have to see. I might try it for a while and see how it is. But anyway, does anybody have any questions about stuff in general, or would anybody be interested in a video about my aquascape? Because I came across all the pictures and video that I did while I was building it, and it's kind of an insight into what I had to do to put together what I have here. Because there are a bunch of large rocks, but a lot of it is a bunch of small rocks that I put together to make the shapes that I wanted. So if it's something people would be interested in, I can probably pretty easily make a video about it. And it turned out exactly how I wanted it. It's functioning the way I wanted, and hopefully it will accommodate all of the fish that I ultimately want to get. So, oh hey Nat King Reef, thanks for dropping in. So David Skookumchuck, your 12-foot tank was relocated. Do you have a tank going now? I don't know if you had plans to. You had said that the person who has it now had asked you to come and do the maintenance on it, but I don't know whether you actually have a tank yourself. Anyway. So yeah, well, any comments, questions? We can wind it down for the night and start back up again next week. So maybe we should do that. Okay. And then Alex can relax, because then he doesn't have to come back in here. And maybe next week we'll get a chance to catch up with the rest of his tanks and the skimmer and all that kind of thing, see how things are going. And yeah, so thanks everybody for coming by. It was really nice to see you all, talk to you all. And if you're watching this on the replay, really appreciate that you hung in till the end. Who was from New Brunswick here before? Skookumchuck, I have no room for a tank. Not room. New Brunswick. Oh, are you thinking of Mark Teffer? He was in Nova Scotia. Yeah, Casey, you're in PEI. Yeah. Okay. See you guys, and thanks again. And we'll see you next week. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe, and hope you enjoy your reef tanks this week. Good night.